Welcome, everybody. This week's Joy of Gratitude has been sponsored in memory of my grandfather, Dovber Ben Ezriel Ze'ev, whose Yortzeit is this coming week. He was a man of honesty and integrity, and someone who I remember as always having a big smile on his face, someone who was in touch with the joy of existence, and that's what we're gonna speak about today. You know, we've entered the month of Adar, a month where the sages tell us that Mishenichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. From the moment that the month of Adar enters, we increase our joy. How are we supposed to increase our joy? Well, this is already the 24th, the joy of gratitude. So hopefully by now you should have found a few things to focus on to bring joy. So much to be thankful for, so much to be happy about. But there must be something specific about the month of Adar and Purim that takes that joy to another level. And the question is, what is it? So let me first of all let you into something that's going on in the Salasnik household at the moment. My wife has a company called Jerusalem Balloons. There you go, a little shameless plug. JerusalemBalloons.com. And Purim is a very, very busy time. There are massive balloon clowns that are being produced, mishloach manot, with different balloon attachments. And because of Corona, it's been very difficult to source the balloons that we would normally use. Normally, we would get most of the balloons from an Israeli supplier, but they themselves have found it hard to source. So my wife placed an order with an English company. This English company was going to send the package to my mother-in-law's home, and then my mother-in-law sent off that package using a fast courier service. The correct postage was paid. My wife prepaid the correct customs fee. Everything was above board. We're waiting and waiting. We're not hearing anything. What's going on? So my wife contacts the company. She contacts the customs office. She's sent from one place to another. Eventually gets an answer. Listen to this. Apparently, any order above 100 balloons constitutes a security risk. It's unclear why, but maybe it's because of Gaza and balloons and things like that, maybe. Now, despite clear evidence that this is a legitimate business with years working with balloon designs, lots of emails going backwards and forwards, not getting anywhere. Eventually, we're told that we would need to pay more than 2,000 shekel to get someone to do a security assessment. Now, considering that the 2,000 shekel is worth more than this particular balloon order itself, the balloons are still currently languishing in customs. Now, I'm fully aware that although this is a major thing for the Salasnik household, it pales into insignificance compared to what many people have been through this last year. But nevertheless, the question each person has to ask is, how are we supposed to deal with the stresses of this time? Each stress specific to each person's circumstances. How is it possible to have joy through all of that? And the answer is the very essence of Purim. But let's ask another question. There's this well-known phrase in the Talmud that says that a person should get drunk on Purim until they don't know the difference between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai. I have to admit, I've been drunk before, very drunk at different times in my life. I've never reached such a level while still being conscious. And also, what's the point? Like, well, I have to get drunk to the level that I can't tell the difference between Haman and Mordechai, really? What's the point of all of that? There are many, many answers given, but the most fundamental and the most relevant to us today is that if we look at the Purim story, it looks like Mordechai is for the Jews and Haman is against the Jews. That's what it looks like. When the story ends and we look back, we find actually that Haman is the catalyst for everything good that happens to the Jews. Achashverosh makes a party. The sages say the party was to celebrate the fact that by his calculation, the 70 years of exile that the Jews were prophesied to have after the destruction of the first temple had passed, and they hadn't returned to their land. They hadn't rebuilt their temple. And Achashverosh is overjoyed. At this party, he brings out the vessels of the temple, of our temple, to drink from. What a celebration. The God of the Jews is finally defeated. At that party, Vashti refuses to come. And there's a guy there called Menachem, which the sages say was actually Haman. And it is Haman who recommends to Achashverosh that he gets rid of Vashti. Because of that, a new queen is brought in. Esther's presence in the palace is only because of Haman. Before he'd even lifted a finger against the Jews, he had already set the process up for the Jews' ultimate redemption. But it goes further than that. Haman builds a gallows to hang Mordechai. But in the end, it's he himself who's hung on it. And when Achashverosh asked Haman, how should he treat someone the king wants to honor? So Haman suggests something truly unheard of, because he thinks that Achashverosh is talking about him. Oh, he should wear the king's clothes, ride the king's horses. In the end, that whole setup is just so that Mordechai can end up being honored like that and get respected by everyone. Haman arranged that all of the anti-Semites, anti-Semites for the Americans, all of the anti-Semites in the known world who were sort of possibly hiding behind, oh, no, it's just anti-Zionism. It's not really anti-Semitism, yeah? Sort of hiding behind the screen. They would come out in public to fight the Jews. That's what Haman arranged, so that eventually the Jews could finally get rid of all of these people who are causing so many problems for them across the known world. And ultimately, Haman created a situation where Achashverosh and Esther's son, Darius II, who was essentially Jewish by birth and therefore had an affinity with the Jews, would then allow the Jews to go back to Israel and rebuild the temple. Everything is turned upside down. So if we stop for a second and think, who really is doing good for the Jews? Who is it? It's Haman. Haman is the catalyst for everything great that comes out of the story. Now, obviously, Haman is wicked. That's not under discussion. But the point is that the whole story is a mask. Hashem, whose name isn't mentioned in the whole Megillah, is directing everything. Haman thinks he's destroying the Jews, but in fact, he's only fulfilling Hashem's plan to bring the redemption. And the month of Adar itself represents this too. Haman was overjoyed that the lottery fell in Adar, the month that our great Moshe, our leader Moshe, had died. But what he didn't realize was that in fact Moshe was also born in that month. It was the month that his light entered the world. And the fact that he died in the same month, in fact, the same day, the 7th day of Adar, the same day that he died was the day that he was born. And he was born and died on the same day. That demonstrates his shleimus. That demonstrates his perfection. If a person dies on the same day they were born, it signifies that they were perfect. The merit of Moshe's perfection stood up for the Jews at that time. So Adar, if for those of you who follow astrology, is the month of Pisces. It is the fish which are hidden behind the eye beneath the water. It looks like there's no life there. You have to go down beneath the surface to see them, but they're there. This is what the month of Adar represents. It may appear to be bad for the Jews on the surface, but really it is the very thing that appears bad that will end up bringing the goodness to the Jews. This is true in every area of our life, every difficulty, every setback. It looks as if things are going bad, that Hashem is hidden. But really, he's controlling everything for our ultimate good. And more than that, the bad itself, the wicked itself, will end up being the catalyst for the good. So when we're completely sober, it can be hard to see past the difficulties facing us. But when we've drunk a little bit, maybe enough just to open up our hearts, we can start asking ourselves, is there really a difference between Haman and Mordechai? Not really. It's all the same. Hashem is controlling and directing everything. I just received my digital copy of Rabbi Moshe Gersh's new book. It's called It's All the Same to Me. It's all the same to me. It's amazing. I'd strongly recommend getting it, especially as right now it's available for 99 pence on Amazon if you get the digital Kindle version. In his book, he explains that true joy only comes when we incorporate into our lives the realization that everything is the same, that there is a oneness. There's a creator, director, and sustainer of life who has intentions of the highest good and love, and he is behind everything. So when we come across frustrating situations, what we sometimes do is we allow that feeling of losing control to take over our lives. What we should be doing, however, is saying, it's all the same to me. Hashem is in charge. And if he doesn't want things to happen this way, it's because deep down, it is the absolute best it can be. I just want to end on this point. Towards the end of the book, the author recommends some ways to connect to this concept. And one thing he says really spoke to me. These are his words. He says, spend time in nature. Nature knows no other reality other than peace. Always in full acceptance of what is. Nature bends in the ebb and flow of life. The energy that vibrates through your system when you spend time in nature cannot be paralleled in a city. The quietness, the stillness, and the freshness of the outdoors is soothing to the spirit and rejuvenating to the mind. Now, if you're here in Jerusalem, you'll know this week we've had a change of weather. Until yesterday, the sun was shining, and now it's snowing. But nature doesn't complain. It doesn't say, oh, I wanted or I expected it to be hot today. The plants don't moan that this is not what they had planned for today. They just accept and they do what they're supposed to do in any given situation. Getting in touch with this idea that it's all the same. It is all the hidden face of Hashem. Is what frees up the stress and the frustration, and it's what allows true joy to develop. And this is what this month is all about. Next week, we'll be taking a break so that I can help my wife with her balloon production. So have a wonderful, uplifting Purim. See the oneness behind the mask, and we'll meet again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, everybody.